My wife became mentally disabled after the college entrance exam. I was forced to marry her. I cared for her for 40 years. On her deathbed, she briefly regained consciousness and left me with only one sentence. Ethan, if there's a next life, please don't marry me again. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn on the day of our wedding. There was no wedding. I didn't deserve one. A fool didn't deserve it. I looked at Sophia in front of me. At 19, she had become a fool because of illness, her intelligence that of a 5 or 6-year-old child. My heart was filled with sorrow. After caring for her for 40 years, I never expected that once she regained consciousness, she would be so resistant to me. She even said she hated me. Forget it. In this life, let's part peacefully. I took her to my brother-in-law's house and explained our intentions. Alexander was furious. Usually inscrutable, he was rarely seen with a flushed face. Ethan, do you think marriage is child's play? You already exchanged vows and became husband and wife, witnessed by family and friends. Now you suddenly say you don't want my sister anymore. What? Are you having second thoughts? Can you withstand the consequences after turning hostile? Can you represent your Johnson family? In the early 2000s, the Alexander and Taylor families were absolute local overlords in our county. Our family simply couldn't afford to provoke them. And in our Johnson family, I'm the eldest, with 3 younger siblings below me. Although my surname isn't Johnson, the meaning that name represents corresponds to me exactly. I'm not a biological member of the Johnson family. Because Mrs. Johnson did not become pregnant for several years after marriage, old lady Johnson decided to go to the orphanage and bring back a boy. That boy was me. I came to the Johnsons at age 3, and good fortune followed. Mrs. Johnson bred like an old sow. For years later, she had 3 children. If it weren't for the sudden tightening of birth control inspections, she could have had 3 more children. Growing up in a family like this, you can imagine what my life was like. I was not only the eldest son of the Johnson family, but also their chief servant. Even Dehua wasn't as capable as I was. I started elementary school at 11 because of my second younger brother. Johnson family's biological eldest son was 7. He was frail and often sick and small in stature. The Johnsons feared he'd be bullied, so as his eldest brother, I took on a few extra jobs. Study partner, bodyguard, book attendant, lightning rod. It wasn't until our high school graduation that my second brother went to university carrying my acceptance letter and ID. Only then did my own studies end. I thought I was free, but I didn't expect the Johnsons to use me again in a deal with the Taylors. They wanted me to marry Sophia. Our high school's belle, a goddess as radiant as the moon. Sadly, she went stupid after the college entrance exam. The kind that can't be cured. Ethan, if your second younger brother's impersonation of you to attend school is found out, he'll go to jail. What about your parents' jobs? You would also be prosecuted for rape. In serious cases, you could be sentenced to death. Do you still want to back out? That's right, I almost forgot. Sophia and I have already consummated our marriage. That night I was drunk, my desires raging, and Sophia was lying in my bed. I was the one who was set up, and the people who set me up were my adoptive parents and Alexander. In my previous life, I resigned myself. Apart from those sordid reasons, I must admit I admired Sophia. A toad eating swan meat added color to my life. The dim-witted Sophia still seemed like a beam of light shining into my barren heart. From then on, I had a family and new guardians. For the rest of my life, I can say I looked after Sophia with a clear conscience. Now it seems kindness has always been my underlying nature. But being overly kind is ultimately not a good thing. Being a good person my whole life never brought me any blessings. Oh, I've been reborn. Could this be heaven giving me another chance to choose? Alexander, it was you who arranged for my brother to impersonate me. My parents' jobs were arranged by you too. Didn't you personally carry Sophia to my bed? Weren't the things in the wine given to my parents by you? Alexander's face was as dark as water. He said nothing for a long time. The room held only the sound of Sophia playing with her doll by herself. He seemed not to have expected how I, usually taciturn and timid in my actions, suddenly became bolder. It's hard to gauge. Go. I hope you'll reconsider for Sophia's sake. After all, she is already your wife. I sneered. In my previous life, family affection, love, morality, marriage, children weighed on me like mountains. I spent my whole life achieving nothing and could only achieve nothing. Just like the director didn't want his son-in-law to be promoted. In the end, even his sons and daughters were only close to their uncles. Is Sophia a burden to me? Maybe yes, maybe no. But this question is no longer important. Smack! William slapped at me. Unlike in a previous life, this time I blocked it with my hand. He was surprised, perhaps because his father's dignity had been challenged, and he raised his hand again. But Mary stopped him. Boss, how could you break off the engagement? You already registered your marriage with Sophia, and you still took her body. You are so irresponsible. Mom said that once you have a child, she'll help take care of them for you. Can you shut up? It's so noisy. I cut her off. I was really afraid she'd dirty my ears further. My foster parents were truly a match made in heaven. The man a big stick, the woman a sweet date. Husband and wife perfectly matched, an unbeatable pair. In my past life, I was too kind. Just like Shun, who believed his father wanted to kill him because he hadn't done well enough, because his virtue hadn't been cultivated. Reborn into another life. I call that kind of behavior foolish. There's nothing more foolish in this world than willingly putting a yoke around your own neck. Even an old ox wouldn't deliberately loop a rope over its own neck. But in my last life, I did. This life, I'm cutting ties with your Johnson family. That acceptance letter is enough to repay the past 20 years of upbringing. Don't be greedy. Greed will put the second child in prison. William was stunned and angry. He instinctively raised his hand, but seeing the cold look in my eyes, he recoiled. Mary took out her ultimate weapon. Tears flowed like a river and wouldn't stop. Each drop of those tears turned into strands of web that wound around me, one after another, enough to stop a runaway train. Boss, you know, Mom loves you the most. When you were little, your mother held you all night whenever you were sick. That winter, I waved my hand to cut her off, severing those invisible threads between us. That winter I fell into the river because your son pushed me. Why did he push me? My own son. Huh? Whose own son hasn't gone hungry at times? Every time I cut the watermelon, and after it's cut you make me do other chores. By the time the work's done, the rinds have already been thrown to the pigs. Which family's own son has grown up like this without ever having eaten watermelon? Not for anything else. Just to know what watermelon tastes like, I have to sever ties with you. I couldn't be bothered to look at the stunned Mary any longer, so I moved close to William and whispered, "The Johnson family's decency and dignity rest on your single thought. You don't want the secret you've been keeping under a coffin lid exposed to the world, do you?" You. William panicked, as if plunged into an ice pit. He kept retreating, pointing at me like he had seen a ghost, grinding his teeth, and, after a long time, made a decision. "Fine, I agree, but you must swear you'll never tell anyone." Mary jumped in fright. "Dad, what are you talking about? This is our son whom we've raised with such hard work." William, feeling guilty, didn't dare look at her, and even less at me. He kept his head down and forced his voice low. "Go fetch third master and fifth master, and also the secretary. Have them act as witnesses. Because both sides cooperated, signing and stamping fingerprints in triplicate. This lifetime, I have no relation with the Johnsons, including handling the household registration. The funny thing is I can change my name, but I can't change my birthday. I suddenly became 4 years younger. I suppose it's a good thing. After leaving the Johnsons, I did not look back. Mary chased after me. "Ethan, I will always be your mom. Mom will always love you most." The same PUA holy words again. I fell silent and merely waved my hand. I don't want to hate her, nor do I want to see her again. A pitiable and sad peasant woman. Get close to her, and she'll pull you into the abyss. I'm not planning to expose the Johnson family's dirty secrets either. When that fake child's success in his career comes and his life reaches its peak, someone will surely get jealous and blow it open. Our marital home was allotted to us by Alexander. The title holder is Sophia. A 2-story small house with a courtyard. In our county, this counts as one of the better properties. I was lucky. My previous life never encountered demolition. In this life, it's no longer mine. Early the next morning, I picked up my bundle, ready to leave this place, to leave the place I'd lived for 2 generations. When the door opened, I saw Sophia curled up in the doorway, clutching a toy doll. Her long hair was loose, tears on her face not yet dry, and a strong smell of urine on her. Hearing the noise, she opened her eyes and, trembling, reached out to me. "Ethan, hug me. Sophia is cold." I watched her tears flow from the corners of her eyes, my heart full of mixed emotions. She then took a small pouch from under herself, inside which were $20,000. "Ethan buys candy to eat. The candy is delicious. Ethan wants Sophia." Watching me stay silent, she looked timid and full of grievance, quietly sobbing. Ethan wet his pants. Why do children, after being scolded to tears by their parents, still stubbornly reach out for a hug? At this moment, even my strongest heart melted. I looked toward the black Volkswagen at the corner of the street. Laughed. "Alexander, you won again in this life. But how can a person keep winning forever?" I carried Sophia home, bathed her, changed her clothes, and dressed her up beautifully. If not for those pretty, childlike eyes, no one would have guessed she had an intellectual disability. "What? You're taking her to Coast City?" "No." "Ethan, don't you believe me? I swear, I really took Sophia all over the country. All the doctors told me she can't be cured. Do you understand?" I nodded. Alexander truly was a capable older brother, the eldest like a father. He was good to his sister and good to his nephew. But with me, he was neither wholly good nor wholly bad. He kept me confined in this little world for a lifetime. People really are complicated. My feelings for him are also very complicated. Blame him? Yes. Grateful to him? Thank you. Ethan, as long as you honestly spend your life with Sophia, I'll provide the money and let Sophia bear your children. If you don't like your job, I'll get you another one. I can swear in the name of my deceased parents. I will raise your children as if they were my own. What a familiar PUA. Last life my ears were so worn they got calluses. What Alexander said was indeed fulfilled, but one who eats from another's hand must keep his mouth shut. I don't want to be trapped in that 2-story little building like in my last life. I never even left the county. If you're worried about Sophia's safety, I'll go to Coast City myself. I'll come back for her in half a year. Alexander, seeing me still like that, stamped his foot in anger and clenched his fists. If Sophia's illness gets cured, I will still have a younger sister, but you might no longer have Sophia. Yes, no matter what, Sophia is still his younger sister, and I only have Sophia, a foolish girl. Big brother, my mind is made up. I came to Coast City to do only 2 things. One is to earn money, the other is to treat Sophia's illness. There were also acquaintances of Alexander in Coast City. Mia, a graceful, alluring, and sophisticated young woman. Although Alexander didn't say it, I knew I should call this woman sister-in-law. The life of the wealthy is this plain and unadorned, going everywhere, leaving a trace of affection everywhere. They have homes everywhere. Sophia and I rented Mia's house and live opposite her. She treats us very well. Once things settled, it was time to make money. Making money was easy for someone who had been reborn. Thanks to a love of reading in the previous life, this life finally offered a chance to monetize all those rebirth business novels. Online novelists don't just make things up, especially when writing about big A stocks or those speculative monster stocks. You have to research the facts thoroughly, or readers won't even feel like leaving comments. Now it's good. The useless knowledge from my last life will bring me rich rewards in this one. Thanks to those online novel authors. And thanks to myself for enjoying reading. As a return, I'll tip them in the future. Or I could first enter the industry and earn the honorific of a master, then mentor them later. I think they prefer the latter. In the early 2000s, A-list money was indeed easy to make, but I didn't dare make too much because it was the exclusive preserve of the 8 banner families. In 1 month, I earned more than I did in my entire previous life, but it wasn't outrageous, just modest prosperity and peace. That day, she happened to run into Mia right at the elevator, and there was a man behind her. There was his cigarette smell on her. There was her perfume scent on him. "Ethan, are you taking Sophia out for a walk?" I nodded. I don't want to make friends. Aside from my personality, it's mostly because Sophia can't have friends. Neither boys nor girls. Mia liked to come play with Sophia. I rarely let her come over. She took a step forward. Sophia looks really handsome and cool with sunglasses on. Children like to be praised. Sophia chuckled happily. Sister Mia is pretty. Her innocent, carefree smile was pleasant even through sunglasses. If her eyes weren't hidden, it would be hard for outsiders to tell she was a fool. I noticed the curious, probing look from the man beside Mia and hurriedly pulled Sophia into the elevator. When the doors closed, I vaguely heard the man asking Mia about us. I sighed inwardly. Beautiful women naturally attract trouble. "Mr. Ethan, your wife's illness is best handled by someone more skilled." More than a month had passed. This was already the fifth doctor to explicitly refuse me. The doctors now were basically decent people, not practicing reckless medicine under the pretense of treatment. If it can be cured, it can be cured. If it can't, begging further is useless. I realized it was pointless to stay in Co City any longer, so I prepared to say goodbye to Mia. "Ethan, are you leaving?" Mia was surprised, her face showing reluctance. "Sophia's illness still hasn't been cured. I'm going to ask my friend for help. He knows an old folk TCM practitioner with a passed-down lineage. Very skilled, not inferior to old physician Shun of the National Medical Hall. It's just, old physician Shun was not only the only national doctor in Heian City, he was also a nationally renowned imperial physician. If anyone's medical skill could surpass his, then getting him to treat you would certainly be even harder. Sister Mia, however much it costs, I'm willing to try." Mia waved her hand, embarrassed. If it were just money, it would be easy. With someone this connected, what they're spending is face and favors. "Don't worry, since your sister said it. She'll definitely get it done for you." Folk veteran Chinese doctors all lived out in the countryside. 3 shabby, tiled rooms. Banners hung all over the place, even piled up in the corners. Chaotic and dusty everywhere. The old Chinese doctor was unhygienic, with a scraggly beard, gray hair, a face full of wrinkles, and a shiny smoking pipe at his mouth. He looked like someone with real skill. "You have to queue." Mia and the man we saw that day brought us together. Carl looked apologetic. The expert is temperamental and doesn't see patients. No amount of money will work. I nodded in agreement. In my previous life, I often took Sophia around to see doctors. The capable ones are usually temperamental. The old Chinese doctor saw patients quickly. After half an hour, there was only one person ahead of us. But this person. The doctor examined the left hand, then the right, then the whole body, and finally had him take off his shoes and stare at his feet, looking and even smelling them. Then he let out a long sigh, go to the medicine cabinet behind me, and open the boxes. Smell them. Pick the medicine that makes you feel comfortable. Take 3 doses first to try. The patient's face was already as pale as paper, his body surrounded by a heavy air of death. His family sighed. Let's listen to the old gentleman. Mia and Carl only felt curious, but I understood. When Western medicine can't cure it, consult Chinese medicine. When Chinese medicine can't cure it, turn to herbal medicine. The body needs whatever it lacks. This was the last, helpless option. This is a master. A glimmer of hope rose in my heart. When it was our turn, Sophia threw a tantrum again. "Ethan, I'm not getting a shot, not getting a shot." Out of habit, I pulled out a lollipop, but no, she still fussed. In the end, it took 3 to settle her. "How old is she? What is your relationship with her?" "She's pregnant." The old Chinese doctor took his pulse. His aged, cloudy eyes shot a sharp glance over. A jolt went through me. This life isn't like the last. I only slept with Sophia that one time when I was drunk. I hadn't expected the child to have come from that single encounter. I had thought. I hurriedly took out our ID cards, and the certificate Alexander had someone draw up for us. Stamped with the street office's seal. There was no choice. We were both still under the legal marriage age. I briefly explained my relationship with Sophia. The old Chinese doctor didn't probe further and continued taking my pulse. He then asked me about the course of Sophia's illness. My wife was in her senior year of high school when she dated a boy. After graduation, he went abroad to study and suddenly broke up with her. She couldn't bear the blow and fell from the building. That's how it happened. The old Chinese doctor lifted his eyelids and slowly shook his head. Heart ailments require heart remedies. Her heart ailment is probably not the heartbreak you mentioned. Otherwise, you would have found the cause and cured it long ago. Go back. This old man is powerless. The old Chinese doctor was right. Alexander had indeed invited Sophia's ex-boyfriend back, but the outcome was obvious. I sighed. I truly didn't know what Sophia's real emotional ailment was. Alexander said he didn't know either. Before leaving, the old Chinese doctor inexplicably offered a suggestion. Your wife is like someone who has locked herself in a room and won't come out. Maybe when she gives birth, the cry will be like thunder in the ear, dispelling the demons. I understood the old physician's words. His advice was sincere, and that he didn't want me to terminate the pregnancy was sincere too. Back in Heian City, I said farewell to Mia and prepared to leave early the next morning. She was a little reluctant, but didn't stop me. Instead, Carl glanced at Sophia a few extra times, his look inexplicably charged. I didn't like it, so I stepped in front of Sophia. That night, the wind and rain raged, thunder shook the sky, and Sophia curled up in my arms, terrified and restless. Early the next morning, I took her to Mia's house to return the keys, only to find her front door wide open. I called out a few times with no answer. When I went inside, Mia was lying naked on the bed, face down, eyes wide open in anger. She was dead. But after I called the police, finished giving my statement, signed and gave fingerprints, the police arrested me. They said I was a suspect. Alexander, who had rushed to the station, took Sophia away and told me to cooperate with the investigation. But after that one investigation, after a day, I really became the police's primary suspect. The cause of death is mechanical asphyxiation. The fingerprints on the lethal spot of the neck are yours. Her whole body, including private areas, is covered in your fingerprints. And the doorknob too. The most crucial thing is the fingerprint on the condom packaging. It's yours. The footprints of the crime scene are only yours. There's your hair on the bed, on the floor, on the sofa, and in the bathroom. Most importantly, on the deceased. There is pubic hair from your lower body. There was something in his throat too. You don't need to deny it. We already did DNA testing. It's your hair. I felt icy all over, my voice stammering. So you've already concluded that I raped and murdered Mia? The detective questioning me took out more photos, all of them private pictures of Mia. We found the victim's underwear in your house. Besides the victim's DNA, there were your fingerprints and hair on it. We found the condom the murderer used in the downstairs sewer. He looked at me. It's the same model, the same packaging, the same product as the one recovered from your place. I gave a bitter smile. In this life, do you think I wouldn't know whether I bought this thing or not? Only the police's evidence kept mounting, and astonishingly, there were even witnesses who said I had repeatedly gone to Mia's place to harass her. Someone else testified that they saw me touching Mia's butt, and Mia resisted and slapped me. More and more pieces of evidence were all pointing to one thing. I was the murderer. I don't know if the police were under pressure, but I hardly slept for 2 days. They wouldn't let me sleep, interrogating me nonstop. The searing lights left me unbearably thirsty. The repeated questioning left me mentally distraught. Intimidation, coaxing, earnest admonitions. All kinds of methods only aimed to make me sign a confession. I didn't sign. Ethan, don't put up a futile resistance. Maybe you haven't done it, but can you guarantee you didn't do it while you were asleep? Sleepwalking murder? I'm not that good. Soon an arrest warrant was issued. I was transferred from the police station to the detention center, officially becoming a suspect in Mia's death. At night, someone walked into my cell. Ethan, if you don't want to die, cooperate with us. They wanted me to sign several documents. This is not a confession that I raped and killed Mia. It is about the Taylor family's crimes of smuggling, drug trafficking, and running a criminal organization. They even wanted me to be an undercover agent. If I agreed, someone would come forward to take the fall for me. If I refuse, I'm a condemned criminal. I laughed. The person framing me was indeed targeting Alexander. Although I dislike him, I never thought of killing him. Even from afar, I'll make him obedient for the rest of his life. Half a month later, I was released from prison. No. To put another way, I was acquitted. I didn't sign any of those agreements, and the police didn't find evidence proving my innocence. No one turned themselves in, either. It was Alexander. He took the evidence of my innocence and caught the real killer, overturning my case. He dealt a harsh slap to the Coast City Police. A death penalty case they had already formally submitted to the prosecutor's office was overturned. They wronged me. The day I came out, Coast City was in an uproar. An overwhelming chorus of criticism drowned them out. But there wasn't a single news item online about the case. Sophia threw herself into my arms and cried. Alexander patted my shoulder. Thank you for your hard work. Let's go home. I smiled. I did you such a big favor. You have to agree to one thing. Alexander looked at Sophia. I won't stop you from taking Sophia for treatment anymore. I shook my head. I want to terminate this pregnancy. Alexander was stunned. He instinctively took out a cigarette, lit it, and inhaled half of it in one drag. Why don't you let my sister decide? I looked at Sophia. She couldn't understand us at all and was greedily sniffing the scent on me. Our things in Coastal City finished. Alexander was full of vigor. Thanks to you, with Goo's family down, our Taylor family can finally take a foothold here. I looked toward the sky. Perhaps because of the sea, the sky over Coast City is very blue and very clear. It's just a pity for Mia. She became a casualty of the power struggles among the wealthy. A few years ago, the Taylor family failed in their bid to enter Coast City. This time, Carl Goo planned to frame me, intending to use me to bring down the Taylor family, to get revenge on Alexander. He set his scheme in motion early, turning Mia to his side and waiting for me to take Sophia to Coast City for treatment. Unfortunately, he thought I didn't know him. He was wrong. In my previous life, I not only met him, I also heard about what he'd done. He's not a good man. From the first day I encountered him, it was clear I had become a pawn in the battle between the Taylor and Goo families. But I am no longer a pawn to be manipulated. The tech market in '05 was still primitive, but it had the essentials like pinhole cameras and wireless cameras. Sophia and I not only had cameras on us, but also voice recorders. Every room in the house had them. There were some at the door, too. These surveillance cameras not only prove I was at home during the incident, but also captured clear footage of the person who framed me. That is, the real murderer of Mia. Alexander arrived before the police. He took the cameras and hard drives in advance. He used them to secure significant advantages for himself. Carl lost out. Alexander was the ringleader in Mia's case, and the Goo family fell. A large number of people paid the price for this, including those who interrogated me. They don't deserve sympathy, but Alexander did indeed outsmart the police, and that left a lurking risk for his career. He wasn't worried at all. An emperor and his ministers change with each reign. Once you dismount, another group takes over, and then another. Our Taylor family only takes the orthodox path. Ethan, your talent is in trading stocks. I'll give you some capital to manage. I could feel a change in Alexander's attitude toward me. He was no longer condescending and capriciously manipulating me, but I still refused. I only do one thing, treat Sophia's illness. Alexander didn't try to persuade me anymore. He actually preferred industry himself. Then don't trade stocks anymore. If you need money, come to me. This time I nodded. This was a share I had gained through suffering, and I took it with a clear conscience. I hadn't been back home for 2 days before Sophia ran away from home. Although it was found quickly, she was still causing a fuss. Ethan, I want a baby. I just want a baby, my baby. Ethan loves me. I love Ethan. Ethan loves the baby. I looked at Emma. She gave an embarrassed smile. Blame sister-in-law for being nosy. But sister-in-law can swear, your child is my child. Lily clung to his leg in a babyish voice. Uncle, don't make my brother get an abortion. He'll be very good. He is very good, but he's not close to me. For some reason, I began to hesitate. Alexander patted my shoulder. Meaningfully, actually that day you were drunk. There was no drug slipped into your drink. The truth is often extremely awkward. I rubbed my hands, unable to look straight. I am a thief. Emma laughed. My Sophia is breathtakingly beautiful, and our Taylor family is immensely wealthy. Out of the 38 boys in your class, 39 would be willing to marry her. Mom, you're wrong. Lily scratched her head. It's not 39, it's 38. Emma rolled her eyes at her daughter. And their homeroom teacher, too. Lily stuck out her little tongue in fright, covered her ears, and waddled away with her bottom in the air. Alexander saw me waver and promised, after Sophia gives birth, I support you going abroad for treatment. Abroad. My emotions were all mixed. I had been before in my previous life, but it didn't work. Money wasted and suffering endured. Big brother, I'm planning to put up some money to set up a lab specifically for cases like Sophia's. Alexander slapped his thigh. As expected of a top student who got into a first-tier university, the brain really works. I know a professor at Coastal City University Medical School. I'll handle the lab. It just might not happen overnight. By the time it's set up, Sophia will probably have had the baby. Pregnant people naturally cannot participate in experiments or be studied. Though I was anxious, I knew to be cautious. Then you'll have to work hard, big brother. Alexander handed me a phone. There are more things to handle over in Coast City. We'll move over there first. If you or Sophia need anything, call this number. Don't ever shoulder things by yourself. I memorized the number. I knew I'd definitely need it. When Alexander moved to Coast City, our little county was truly shaken. He was on a high path, and I thought I would never encounter the same troubles as in my last life. But I still underestimated human nature. That day I went out to buy groceries while Sophia was napping and came back. I saw my high school friend Kevin. He was on the phone. I quietly walked up behind him. Poor people like Ethan have an inherent bad trait. They smell good from afar, but foul up close. They're very hospitable. If you go to their house for a meal, his mother and sisters won't let you sit at the table. You can only eat in the kitchen. Haha, right. Someone like him who has no friends is honest by nature and proud. He will 100% take out his best things to entertain me. Sophia. TSK, still an idiot. You guessed right. I went straight for her. Believe it or not, if I asked Ethan to lend me Sophia as my girlfriend for a few days, he'd definitely agree. I laughed silently behind him. See, there are no true friends in this world. Having lived a lifetime, I consider myself experienced. If you're a man with a wife and children, you'd better avoid hanging out with friends, especially those bachelors. Wives are especially beautiful. It's best if you have no friends, regardless of gender. And someone like me should preferably stay home and keep my wife company. Kevin certainly deserves to die, but I don't like making an example of him like in the previous life. Although Alexander left the county, he still left people behind. He knows someone will try to set their sights on his sister. Kevin was lucky he became that chicken. Attempted rape in a private home because Sophia was disabled and because of Alexander's network. Kevin was sentenced to 10 years. In the second year, in prison, both his legs were broken. Ethan, when did you? I watched Kevin panic and pretend to be calm, and I couldn't help but find it amusing. Get out of Willow County within an hour, or I'll break both your legs. Watching Kevin flee like a clown, I shook my head slightly. Killing the chicken to warn the monkeys is certainly effective. But Sophia really was frightened. She hadn't slept well for a week. She almost miscarried. Time passed quickly. Another month went by. That night someone knocked on the door. The man was highly respected and carried a briefcase. I didn't let him into the house, only had him stay in the courtyard. Ethan, I know you need money now to treat your wife's illness. This is $50,000. I'm giving it to you for free. I have only one request. I waved my hand. Deputy Director Lee, I don't want your money. Who would have thought that the moment I finished speaking, this fourth-ranking official in the county, the one who had often helped me and the Taylor family, suddenly bowed at a 90-degree angle. Ethan, I'm here to ask for your help. I, I have a crisis I must get through, and I need your help to do it. I remained calm the whole time, even as he kowtowed and humbled himself. A flicker of mockery passed through my eyes. So, how do you want me to help you? Deputy Director Lee perhaps didn't notice my expression. He looked solemn, like a great virtuous sage. The master said my fate star is dim, and I may be harmed by petty people. He said, I need to find a noble woman with deep good fortune to perform a ritual of cleansing for me. The master calculated that Sophia is precisely my benefactor. I only need her to baptize me for 3 days. Just 3 days. Afterwards, I'll give you $300,000. And I'll also arrange a position for you, promising you'll be sitting in my spot by age 30. How is it? I smiled speechlessly. No wonder he came in person instead of having his secretary handle it. Without Alexander's example setting in this life, do the people of Willow County really think Sophia and I have become toys for anyone to manipulate? Baptism? You might as well call it a feng shui bead. 3 more damn days. I really want to punch him to death with 3 blows. Good thing I've lived 2 lives and seen upper-class people more disgusting than him. Otherwise, I really would have been driven mad. Same old saying, the elite are just the lower class in disguise. These gluttons, fattened and full, trust gurus and high monks far more than ordinary people do. I took out my phone and called Alexander. Big brother, the chicken you were waiting for has come to the door. Very fat, surname Lee. Ethan, Deputy Director, Lee suppressed his anger. What do you mean? Even if you tell Alexander, what can he do to me? In Willow, we are the sky. He put the call on speaker, and Alexander's voice came out like 10,000 years of ice. Then I'll have Willow change her time. Deputy Director Lee howled. How dare you? Shut up. Alexander's voice remained very calm. Ethan, throw him out. Don't wake my sister from her sleep. I turned off my phone. No nonsense. Since the chicken was delivered to my door, I of course tossed him out like picking up a little chick. The weather in Willow County changes a lot. In almost a year, all the officials with the surname Lee from more than 30 departments were taken away. A great family that had held power in Willow for over 100 years fell apart. This chicken really is fat. But Alexander, who held the knife, also had to accept Willow investing in 2 more factories worth over $100 million each. He was very fortunate. The times were on his side. Attracting investment was the red line of this era. As the leaders said, nothing could stop Willow's development. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. Because Sophia had already given birth to a boy, I had to stick close at her side. Her intelligence was low, but an adult woman's strength is still there, even greater. Highly destructive and impossible to guard against. She could accidentally hurt herself and the child. Baby, my baby, want the baby. Sophia cried in a way that tugged at the heart, but you couldn't pity her. The next moment, she pulled out a lollipop. Baby, eat sweet candy. Seeing her about to shove the lollipop into the baby's mouth, I hurriedly stopped her. In this situation, I could only follow Alexander's arrangement and let Emma take the son. Besides that, there was also the fact that the laboratory jointly established by Alexander, Coast City University Medical School, and the First People's Hospital could officially begin experiments. Sophia was their first test subject. The lead, Professor Jennifer, is a big name in neurology. Her expression was very grave. Ethan, in Sophia's case, neuronal atrophy has caused localized damage to the brainstem, along with severe psychological trauma. To be honest, so far we only have about a 10% chance. Brainstem damage can affect memory. Even if Sophia wakes up, she will probably have lost her memory. I recalled the afterglow before her death in the previous life. It seems she had no deficiencies. Professor Jennifer, what are you planning? Jennifer pushed up her glasses and said seriously, we plan to proceed in 2 steps. First, use medication to repair the damage to her brain, delivering the drugs to the lesion through interventional therapy. Second is psychotherapy. Ethan, do you know Sophia? Be very detailed, from her birth up to the incident, every little detail. Do I know Sophia? I was silent for a long time. I'm sorry, Professor Jennifer. I don't understand Sophia. I only know Sophia. I haven't even exchanged 10 sentences with Sophia. Jennifer looked at me for a long time without speaking. Can you tell me your story in detail? I want the team to know about you, not just Sophia, but Sophia. Where should I start? I don't know much about psychotherapy, so I opened my heart. Let's start with the orphanage. I spoke slowly and in detail. The memories were painful, but weren't they also a release? In the end, aside from the fact that I was reborn, I told almost everything. It was a very comfortable feeling. I think I was probably ill before. Now, I'm only in the process of healing. Illness isn't acquired in a day or two. Recovery isn't achieved overnight either. For more years passed with this treatment. Sophia's condition improved slightly, but she was still mentally impaired. Just like in the previous life, she gave me another daughter. I didn't want her to get pregnant again. But Alexander and Jennifer, one with familial affection, the other with medical care, plus my own nostalgia for that slightly flawed little comforter from the past life, made it happen. Give birth. Unfortunately, Sophia, who had given birth to a daughter, did not regain consciousness. Fortunately, Jennifer and the others hadn't worked in vain over these 4 years. They managed to restore the other dozen or so test subjects to normal. Or rather, they turned them from complete idiots into half-wits, able to take care of himself. Gave us hope. Ethan, we have a 60% chance of getting Sophia out of that little dark room in her heart. But we need a catalyst. A 60% chance is already a very high assurance. I'm very satisfied. Is the medicinal catalyst Sophia's first love? Jennifer nodded. Our treatment strategy this time, put simply, is to make Sophia relive the past scene once more. I'm planning to have her first love play the male lead and stage a play to provoke Sophia. I laughed out loud. Professor Jennifer, great minds think alike. I was just thinking the same thing. David felt that he had been very unlucky these past few years. 5 years ago, when he was a senior in high school, he transferred to Willow County High and met Sophia. The 18-year-old girl was as beautiful as a flower, and he pursued her madly. Sophia didn't agree, but she kept staying very close to him, especially when she heard he was planning to study abroad after the college entrance exams. Sophia pestered him with questions, but she wasn't asking about romance. She was trying to find out how studying abroad worked. She even asked him to keep it secret, saying he absolutely must not let her brother Alexander know. Perhaps because they often discussed studying abroad together, their classmates all assumed they were dating. The young man's vanity got the better of him. He didn't explain, thinking that once they went abroad and lived together day and night, they would inevitably become a couple. Sophia scoffed at the need to explain, and was even more afraid her brother would find out. But after the college entrance exam, Sophia suddenly fell ill and became an idiot. Even the most beautiful woman becomes completely unattractive once she turns into a fool. David left the country without looking back. But he hadn't expected the Taylor family to have so much influence. Alexander actually sent people to force him back, claiming it was to treat Sophia's illness. But what does Sophia being sick have to do with him? Faced with the muzzle of a gun and his parents at home who hesitated to speak, David dared not refuse to return to his country. It was just a pity that even after returning and cooperating with the doctors, he could not cure Sophia. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and David did not expect that a few years later, Alexander would again send someone to invite him back. He still did not dare to resist, because over the past few years he'd seen it clearly. Even though he was studying abroad, the Taylor family never let him go. If it wasn't someone reporting him for cheating, it was someone sabotaging his job prospects. It seemed like some mysterious force kept him trapped at the bottom while abroad. It was infuriating. A few years later, I saw David again. He no longer had his original sunny handsomeness, but looked listless and worn, a defeated young man beaten down by life. "Ethan, you guys are ruthless. I've said many times, Sophia and I were never in a relationship." I smiled and patted his shoulder. "I know. I brought you back to help, and you'll be paid. Very rich." David forced a smile, looking at me with envy. None of our classmates would have guessed it. You're the real winner in life. Money, a wife, and 2 kids. What more can a man ask for? Ethan, I advise you to stop fixing him. Sophia probably really wants to escape her original family. Or rather, she was born to like new things. She said she doesn't like the sluggish, stifling education back home. She wants to pursue a colorful life. Look at you now, mature like a 60-year-old man, not a bit of vigor. After sobering up, she's essentially back to being 19. Do you think you two are still compatible? You are right about everything. I smiled faintly. Maybe someday I'll regret the choice I'm making now. But for now, Sophia should have her own life. David shrugged. All right, you really are still so kind. I didn't let Jennifer find someone to perform the play. Instead, had Alexander buy an entertainment company. A web series? A short drama? What the hell? In recent years, Alexander's business has grown bigger and bigger, far wealthier than in his previous life, but he still couldn't break free from the limitations of his era. If I hadn't helped steer the ship, he would have been blown off course long ago. I briefly explained it to him, then revealed my intention. I prepared 2 scripts, one to film Sophia going abroad to study, the other to film her attending college at home. 2 different life experiences. See if we can pry open that little dark room in her heart. Alexander sighed. All right, I'll have people cooperate with you. Ethan, if I had known her emotional knot was with me, I shouldn't have controlled her life. But I'm both her brother and her parents. She's my only sister. How could I bear to let her go abroad? I don't want to be that patriarchal head who controls everything. What would you do? In recent years, Jennifer and her team re-examined Sophia's life and found that she wasn't abandoned because her boyfriend went abroad. But she herself wanted to go abroad. At heart, she was just a rebellious little girl at the time. Alexander was at fault too. He was strict. Father and brother doubled the responsibility, which made Sophia feel suffocated. The house was very lively today. Besides me and Sophia, there are 2 other children, Alexander's family, and all the staff in the lab. Also David and several of Sophia's high school friends. The newly purchased entertainment company had just finished editing 2 micro-short dramas shot this week. Dubbing and other follow-up work are being handled concurrently. So today, everyone is watching with Sophia. Children only love watching cartoons. When it's not a cartoon, Sophia and my 4-year-old son lose interest immediately, clamoring to watch The Adventures of Rainbow Cat and Blue Rabbit. That is, until the heroine appears. My son pointed at the screen. Wow, it's Mommy, Mommy is on the TV. Sophia also smiled. It's Sophia. Ethan, it's Sophia. I comforted her for a moment. Be a good girl and watch TV. Once it's over, I'll give you strawberry cake. Children will obediently cooperate for candy or cake. And with so many people around, making it lively today, Sophia did in the end insist on watching until the end. 2 hours later, having finished 2 short shows, Sophia showed no reaction at all. Alexander and I were somewhat disappointed. Jennifer comforted. This is only the first step. Once Sophia falls asleep, we're planning to perform an interventional procedure to bridge the neurons in her brainstem. Estimated 3 days. The surgery ran into problems. The person who should have woken up in 3 days still hadn't after half a month. If not for all the tests and instruments, and if not for Jennifer insisting they hadn't turned Sophia into a vegetable, Alexander and I might really have sued her and her team. That morning, the sun was shining brightly. I placed a bouquet of fresh flowers on Sophia's bedside. She was still asleep, quiet, as if she were a sleeping beauty. By the time I brought back the water, she had sat up. Her eyes were bright, as if thousands of stars were shining. Ethan, I'm sorry, your Sophia is gone. Being a person for 2 lifetimes, I thought I'd remain impassive even if Mount Tai collapsed, but the basin in my hand still slipped to the floor. You're awake? Sophia tilted her head slightly and apologized again. I'm sorry about the last life. I understood instantly what she meant. Not only had she come back to normal this time, she also retained memories of her previous life. She was reborn. Before I could speak, she waved at me. Ethan, can you help lift my head? God says that every time a woman sheds a tear, a day is taken from her life. I don't have any time left. I didn't understand what she meant. She's only 24. Waking up, she still has more than half her life ahead of her. Just as I walked over, Sophia nestled into my arms. The tears in her eyes ultimately didn't fall. Ethan, do you only like Sophia, not Sophia? Why are you unhappy both times I wake up? Do you know that every day I secretly feel your love through Sophia's eyes? I don't want to be a thief, but if I come out, Sophia will disappear. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. My heart full of bitterness. Truly, a girl's thoughts are unfathomable. So the line she left in her previous life was just because she was jealous that I only loved Sophia. How am I supposed to console her? Sophia, actually in my heart, you and Sophia are the same person. You've grown up. Sophia hasn't disappeared. She's both a part of your memories and of mine. If I suddenly lost my memory and became someone else, would you stop loving me? I don't like him, Sophia said decisively. I only like Ethan, Sophia's Ethan. Loved him for 40 years in the last life. Loved him for 5 years in this life. I will love you in the next life too, for all lifetimes. I'm sorry, before I died in the last life, I wanted you to forget me. I wiped the tears from her eyes. You're awake now. You can choose your own life. My brother and I won't stand in your way. Sophia shook her head resolutely. I want a wedding, mine and yours. The sooner the better. 3 days. Sophia waking up on that first day caused a sensation throughout Willow County. Countless people looked at me with envy, jealousy, and hatred. They said I not only got to eat swan meat, but also the Taylor family's vast fortune. Alexander was ecstatic. With a grand gesture, he gave 1/3 of his shares in Taylor Enterprises to Sophia. Sophia refused. Brother, my husband is wealthy. He doesn't need it. She personally prepared a table full of dishes, inviting not only family, but also the members of the laboratory team. Oh, and her first boyfriend. Sophia, you've really made my life miserable. These past few years I've been living in constant fear under threats from your brother and your husband. You have to make Ethan compensate me. Sophia laughed. You two will have plenty of time to work together in the future. My husband is kind and generous. He won't mistreat you. That night, she chatted with Alexander and her sister-in-law until late. She said she was so happy she couldn't sleep. The next day, Sophia urged my son and daughter and me and Alexander's whole family to take a family portrait and wedding photos. In the afternoon, she took her children and her nephews and nieces to the mall and bought a lot of things. They almost cleared out the entire mall. She arranged birthday gifts for the children, all the way until they reached adulthood. At night, I sat with her sorting through photos. She is truly beautiful. I woke in the night and found that she had still not gone to sleep. Someone was secretly in the study, tilting her head back and writing something with a pen. I didn't go to disturb her. I was afraid her tears would start to fall. Maybe she really didn't have much time left. The third day. Wedding. She dressed beautifully early in the morning, staring at me with a dreamy look, unwilling to leave even for a second. Because the wedding was arranged hastily, Sophia insisted on holding it at Willow. We could only choose the best restaurant and hurriedly speed up preparations for the wedding venue. We had only just arrived at the wedding venue when, at the door, we were met by uninvited guests. Boss, why didn't you tell us you were getting married today? Mom has loved you the most since you were little. Seeing you get married, Mom is overjoyed. I push Mary away and grab my hand. Over these years, the Johnsons have often come looking for me, but I never saw them. I didn't expect them all to come today. I frowned. I don't think I invited you. Please don't. Sophia held my hand and smiled. Honey, I invited them. I know Sophia can learn about everything happening around me through Sophia. She must have a deeper meaning in arranging it this way. So let her. William, greedy for more, grinned, showing his yellowed teeth. Boss's wife, no matter what, we're still the boss's parents. Shouldn't we sit at the main table? Sophia nodded, but didn't want to say another word. Our wedding went very smoothly, and the guests were moved by our story. But I couldn't smile. Sophia smiled the whole time, but no one noticed that she liked to tilt her head back and clench her hands tightly. I knew she was holding back, afraid the tears would fall. Every single drop of those tears would be lifespan. When we bowed to heaven and earth, I begged the heavens to give us a little more time. Heaven did not respond. Only a breeze stirred the tassels on Sophia's red wedding dress. Dear guests, Sophia took the microphone and first thanked the guests, then my brother and sister-in-law, and finally gave me a big, forceful kiss before getting down to business. There's one more thing I'd like to say today. My husband Ethan took the entrance exam for Coastal City University 5 years ago, but was impersonated by Johnson family's Ethan. Ethan, I don't like you using my husband's name to go to school, become an official, and marry a wife. So, I've already sent the complaint letters to your workplace and the university. Oh, by the way, your wife and your powerful father-in-law should already know. Ruining someone's prospects is no less than the hatred of killing a father. Ethan exploded on the spot. His face flushed as he was about to curse. But on such a joyous day, how could Sophia not be prepared? Before he could open his mouth, 2 security guards covered his mouth and dragged him out. William stormed with fury. Ethan, you're no man of your word. I curse you. Bang! Alexander leapt up in a fury and kicked him in the face. How dare you insult my brother-in-law to my face? Mary sobbed. Boss, what are you doing? We're family. Mom, please, I beg you. You absolutely cannot ruin your son's future. She knelt down as she spoke, letting the security guards pull at her while she simply couldn't muster the strength to stand. Although I severed ties with the Johnsons, Mary kneeling at my wedding was truly disgraceful, just as I was about to have someone drag her out. Sophia smirked wickedly, shook her head, clapped her hands, and an image appeared on the screen. It was a middle-aged person. Willow County isn't large. Almost everyone present knows each other. William is nothing but a green turtle. He can't lay eggs himself, so he comes begging to me. All 3 children of the Johnson family are my offspring. My eldest not only lives off the imperial grain, he also married the child of a high-ranking official. In ancient times, that would be like passing the imperial exams and marrying a princess. I only have one wish now. That William would hurry up and die. If he dies, our whole family will be reunited. Before the video even finished playing, William had already stormed out in a rage. Later, I heard he killed someone. Mary fainted, and her second child lowered his head and let her out. The third child, Emily, came up to me and said, Big brother, weren't you the one who loved me the most? Why did you have to ruin our family? We've already cut ties with you. Sophia sneered. You say we're cutting ties, but why do you keep acting in the name of the Ethan and Taylor families? Do you think you got into the hospital because of your own elder brother's connections? Get lost. Tell your family that from now on we have nothing to do with you. A lively day, evening. My son and daughter were taken away by sister-in-law Emma. Sophia nestled in my arms. I was originally going to have someone search for your biological parents. But there wasn't enough time. In my previous life, I didn't look for my biological parents, nor did I acknowledge any relatives. I have never followed the popular online family search programs. Actually, I don't want to find them. I'm not kidnapped. I was abandoned. Most likely some woman accidentally got pregnant, gave birth to me, and just left me. Sophia understood. I'm afraid that after I leave, no one will love you. Husband, I know you know I don't have much time left. The gods grant me only 3 days. I held Sophia tightly. My woman only had half a day left. Don't worry, we'll have another life. Sophia shook her head stubbornly. People who commit suicide have no next life. You must live well. Marry, have children, live your own life. If you're not happy, the gods will no longer pity me. I was silent for a long time, then nodded and agreed. I will live well, but I might not marry. We'll let fate decide. It can't be forced. Sophia smiled. The long night is endless. We should enjoy our bridal night together. A night of fish and dragons danced. In the early morning, a breeze lifted a strand of long hair. and the person lying in my arms shed a clear tear from the corner of her eye. I stared silently, not daring to wipe it away. My Sophia, my Sophia. She never woke again. Sophia chapter. I am Sophia. I have been reborn again. This is my second rebirth. This time, I have been reborn in my senior year of high school. A new student arrived in class, David. His arrival was like a stroke of seven-colored rainbow painted onto a black and white world. In the first life, I stubbornly believed that one should live a vibrant, colorful life like his, not be forcibly controlled by my brother, wasting my life in the dull, monotonous high school. I wanted to escape the sea of exam questions, study abroad, and make my life richer, but had no idea what life actually meant. Looking back, I was truly foolish and dumb then. Apart from my looks, even the FBI abroad probably wouldn't bother recruiting me. Fortunately, in this life, I had time to correct that. I glanced toward the corner of the classroom, where the person I thought of most in my heart was sitting. He was a silent mountain. Unfortunately, at that time he only dared to hide in a corner and sneak glances at me, the school beauty like a bright moon. After class, David walked over. Sophia, come on. I'll treat you to a meal too. I couldn't be bothered with him, grabbed my wallet and ran out. In the school cafeteria, Ethan sat alone in a corner, nibbling a steamed bun and eating some cabbage. Not far away, his younger brother had one meat dish and one vegetable dish. I panted as I ran over and set a watermelon down in front of him. The entire dining hall instantly fell silent, changing from a roar of voices to complete quiet. Everyone, look over here. What are you doing? Ethan, always insecure and sensitive, felt uneasy for the first time being stared at by so many people. I could see clearly. His face flushed and sweat was beading on his forehead. How interesting. I tossed him a fruit knife. I want to eat watermelon. You cut it. Hurry up, or I'll loudly call you my husband. Ethan's jaw almost dropped in shock. Under my urging look, he obediently picked up the knife and sliced the watermelon. I picked up a piece and brought it to his mouth. You eat first. If you dare not eat, I'll scream. Ethan lowered his head, his face flushed like blood. He clumsily opened his mouth and took a bite, and his eyes suddenly brightened. My heart ached. My man has grown up this long and has never eaten watermelon. He really is so kind. What child doesn't steal melons? I should have been reborn into the first year of high school. That way I could raise him from 1.78 meters to 1.88 meters. What a pity. Ethan, if you eat my melon, you're mine. From now on, you may only listen to me. Otherwise, I won't marry you. Ethan, chewing on watermelon, was stunned. Juice dribbled from his mouth as he flusteredly wiped it away. I looked up and glanced around. The whole restaurant seemed frozen, everyone staring at the two of us. When Ethan saw my gaze sweep past him, he hopped over like a rabbit. Big brother, give me a piece to eat. Ethan instinctively shielded the watermelon. A faint smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. Good. A man who guards his food is reliable. Ethan, used to bossing others around, pulled out his parents when Ethan didn't pay him any attention. Ethan, what did mom and dad say? They told you to take good care of me at school. Is this how you take care of me? Ethan didn't answer. I couldn't help myself and slapped him, knocking his glasses off. You! Ethan didn't dare blame me. Turning his head, he glared at Ethan. She hit me, didn't you see? You eat at my house, use my things. You speak. Do you still want to go to school? Ethan stood up and blocked my way. I think what Sophia did was right. The watermelon was bought by her. I felt moved. Indeed, Ethan's moral core is always kindness. He is not a coward. He is a mountain. The mountain cannot be moved. After the college entrance exam, I did two things. First, with a thin veil between a woman pursuing a man, Ethan and I officially started dating. I was like Zhao Min from the Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber, spoiled and willful. Fortunately, Ethan wasn't as indecisive as Zhang Wuji. The Johnsons wanted Ethan to give up his chance at college for Ethan. Ethan was prepared to agree. Ethan wanted Ethan to give me, Sophia, to him. Ethan refused. Big brother, mom loves you the most. If we can't handle Taylor family's little princess, even if you marry her, you won't be able to keep her. It's better to let your brother have her. They'll go to college together and have things in common. Mom will arrange another good marriage for you. You go out to work for a year, come back, and your parents will build you a house and help you get a wife. The youngest daughter of the Johnson family tugged on Ethan's hand. Big brother, aren't you the one who loves me the most? Didn't you say you were going to go out to work to earn money to buy me new clothes? I couldn't help but laugh out loud outside the door. Ethan heard him and hurried out. He felt embarrassed. Sophia, I don't think I can get into university. I intend to cut ties with the Johnsons once I receive the acceptance letter. He had expected me to support him, but I shook my head instead. He probably still doesn't know the Johnson family's hidden secret, but that's fine. I came today to make the truth known to the world. Let Ethan leave the Johnsons' house cleanly. Mary, did you really think that when you brought Ethan home from kindergarten, good fortune came with him? How come he didn't lay eggs for 3 years, and suddenly in 5 years had 3? Didn't you suspect whether the 3 children were Johnson's children? Mary was shocked and puzzled. William panicked and sat down hard on the ground. Ethan followed me away from the Johnsons' house, still shaken and scared. We ignored that family's wailing and screaming. Where are we going next? I took Ethan's hand back to my house. There's another tough battle waiting for us. Will you back down? Ethan squeezed my hand. No. I hold him, and he will always be a great mountain. A mountain cannot be moved, just as our marriage is blessed by the heavens. No one can tear us apart. What? You're going to marry him? The sooner the better. Sophia, blink for me. Have you been possessed? I roll my eyes at my brother. He's really good at reading people. Brother, 2 choices. A sister who runs away from home, a wedding blessed by the family. My brother jumped up in anger, circling Ethan 10 times like a Tibetan mastiff. You little brat, are you one of those curse-wielding thieves from the movies? Ethan replied calmly. Big brother, is it possible that I'm the one who's been cursed? My brother laughed himself angry. He's always been a feudal patriarch and never allowed me to go against his wishes. Just as he was about to scold me, Ethan stood in front of me. Big brother, I'm willing to marry into the family. Good. My brother suddenly laughed loudly. Hold the wedding first. When Sophia is old enough, we'll register the marriage. Now Ethan was dumbfounded. I pressed my hand to my forehead. My brother really had planned this all along. He must have already investigated Ethan's situation thoroughly and known that the 2 of us were dating. He really is very good at judging people. Ethan is willing to do anything for me. But my family didn't allow him to marry into our household. In my brother's own words, he's just an orphan. What's the difference whether he marries in or not? I chose the wedding date to be the same day as the first time we slept together in the previous 2 lifetimes. The wedding wasn't as grand as in past lives, but I was content. Many people said Ethan was a toad who'd somehow caught a swan. All kinds of envy, jealousy, and resentment. Some people bet that within 3 years I would kick him out. I smiled. They didn't know that Ethan was the man I had pursued for 3 lifetimes. On the wedding night, petals fell like scattered red dots. The inexperienced youngster who had just been dazed suddenly stopped, his expression changing in an instant. A pair of eyes that had endured the vicissitudes of 3 lifetimes opened slightly. I smiled happily. My Ethan is back. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note, with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. Oh my God, it really is you, Mary. Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. Frank, it's been a long time. She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew. A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. Aren't you allergic to mangoes? I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing. I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. When did you start smoking? I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor. I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level. Frank's eyes widened. You mean, she's not Mary? I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up. 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. Mary is an only child. We all know that. I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. George, Mary is going to have a baby, my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that? I managed to ask. Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life. My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. Mary, could you come here for a moment? I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. Did you forget about this? I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. George, I can explain. Explain what? Explain that you're not Mary at all. Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. What's going on with you two? Mom, take a look at this. I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. What's going on? Mary, you can't have children. Of course she can, I sneered, because she's not Mary at all. My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. What nonsense are you talking about? I can explain. She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly. My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the 3rd day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. "They're after your painting," the private detective asserted, "and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust." I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. "It's taking too long," Tom said irritably. "How much longer until he sells the painting?" "Don't worry," she soothed him. "I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money." "You're really pregnant?" "That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly." "Does Annie know the truth?" "She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help." I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. "You don't actually have feelings for George, do you?" Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. "It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word." "Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it." Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. "This is a surprise I prepared for you," I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. "To celebrate the new life we're about to begin." She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. "It's beautiful, thank you." She smiled as she prepared to put it on. "Wait," I stopped her. "Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back?" She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved." She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. "See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace." I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, "After all, this is your final design." Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. "Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light." On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. "The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon," I replied with a smile. "This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it." Mary immediately chimed in. "Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future." I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. "Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting." Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up, Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank. Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, Wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I study jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head. warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, the pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice, and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, in memory, dedicated to teacher Mary. Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines, with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. New friend? He asked me quietly. Mary's student, I explained simply. Very talented. Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of teacher Nicole and teacher George. After the exhibition, the 3 of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. Mr. George, Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. I've always had a question I wanted to ask you. What is it? After you finished the pursuit, what are you planning to create next? The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since the pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. I haven't decided yet, I answered honestly. It might take some time to find a new direction. Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. Maybe, Nicole said softly, you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further. I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. You mean, creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry? Exactly. Nicole said excitedly, your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect. The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, I have to confess something. I looked at her in confusion. I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you, she said candidly. I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion. Her sincerity moved me. You're already on that path, and you're doing very well. Then, may I consult you often? She asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, see, I knew you would find a new direction. When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. Not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. Am I really up to the task? She asked me in the studio. You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone, I assured her. That's exactly what I need. In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it. At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's all right, I said with a smile. I think Mary really would like it. She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself. Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, Professor George, may I ask you a personal question? What is it? When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole. I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused. No matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. "I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare," she said at last. "I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well." As she left, she handed me a small package. "These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them." Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. "The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design." "Perhaps," I said. "Everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, Teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. "I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger." In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but what? But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. "You have feelings for her. That's obvious." "That's just professional rapport," I argued. "Is that so?" Frank looked at me meaningfully. "Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France?" I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. "I know what you're worried about." Frank lowered his voice. "You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you?" I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. "Mary has been gone for 3 years now." Frank gently patted my shoulder. "She would want you to be happy." After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. "Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months." Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. "This experience has meant so much to me." "I should be thanking you," I said sincerely. "Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed." We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. "My flight is the morning after tomorrow," Nicole finally said. "I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other." 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. "Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there." She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. "Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity." "What is it?" "I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works." She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. "I didn't know that," I said in surprise. "I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion." Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. "But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you." I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond. She gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was. I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project, a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we've found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. Mary, the exhibition was a great success today, I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted. Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me. A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, I've been thinking about something. What is it? If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, You might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met. Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. Perhaps that's the irony of fate, I said softly. Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings. When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path. Luna, I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talented. Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars, I sighed. Everyone deserves a second chance. That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. You mean? A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration, she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. Love. I finished her sentence. No matter what form it takes. Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration. Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. We have time, she smiled, holding my hand. We have so much time. In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines 2 embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the Eternal Ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, We'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.